Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. Our guest today is Israel's Deputy Prime Minister, Dan Meridor, who is also in charge of intelligence and atomic energy. Mr. Meridor, welcome to the France 24 interview.
Good to be here.
I want to begin with the new quote-unquote humanitarian flotilla headed for Gaza. Last year, we remember 9 activists were killed by the intervention of Israeli forces. There have been some regrets, apologies by Israel. Do you fear that this could happen again?
Last year there was a tragedy and we were sorry for it, but there's no reason to have this flotilla. Gaza is totally open to merchandise, to people, through Egypt, through Israel. There's no shortage of anything there. Everything is open. The creation of this impression, this image that Gaza is under siege is not there. What we are interested in is to stop a free flow of ships that may carry, not now, in the future, more missiles and rockets. Gaza has now 8,000 rockets aimed at Israel, coming from Iran and Syria through all sorts of tunnels, and they want to take it through the sea. So we have a...
But that's not the objective of this flotilla. It's
no,
not
no,
to
the
bring
objective
weapons.
This flotilla has no weapons as far as I know on it, but they want to open the line, and then others will come. And the blockade by international law needs to be either full or not at all. You can't make it have a choice every time again and again.
So you're going to stop them by force if necessary?
We want to convince them not to get to the shore. If they want to have any humanitarian aid, which is not needed, they can do it through Egypt, through Israel. Everything will go directly. We don't want to open a direct line where they will in the future smuggle weapons and arms. They have enough already, too much already.
There have been reports by Israeli officials that although the organizers say the activists are unarmed, that there are some who carry quote-unquote dangerous chemicals on board. I mean, are those reports true?
We have some indications that some of the people on there wants to create problems, troubles.
Violence.
Unfortunately, I'm afraid so. Unfortunately, in the meeting of people who look nice and don't carry guns in an army, it's tough for the army to stop them because why do you fight them? And they need, I'm afraid some of them want to have this clash. So it's going not to be easy, but I hope we'll do it right. And there's a lot of learning from previous experience and a lot of training, and I want it to happen. I hope it will develop into no violent clash again.
One positive aspect for Israel is Turkey's role. Obviously, Turkey was at the forefront of last year's campaign and the incident. There was a lot of tension. Do you think there is a rapprochement between Turkey and Israel happening?
I think that both Israel and Turkey, being two countries that are quite strong, important and stable in a very shaky Middle East, have a common interest to have good relationship between them. We had it for many years. Since Erdogan came into force, even before the flotilla, there was some change in the direction Turkey took. I hope that after the election in Turkey that took place some weeks ago, we'll find a way to reconcile and bring our relationship back on the course to normal relationship, because it's our and their interest. If you look at the Middle East and you see the weakening of some states and the potential strengthening of Iran, it's important to have the moderates, including Turkey and Israel, being in good relationship.
The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, reportedly wrote to Mr. Erdogan after the elections to congratulate him and to encourage him to resume good relations with Israel. Was there a response?
I don't know the answer. I don't think there was, but I'm not sure. I think that there's another indication that we see it as a common interest for both Israel and Turkey. I spoke to 10 Turkish media people who came to Israel just some days ago, and interviews were published in Turkey. I think we want them to know it's our interest, first of all, that we are sorry for what happened last year. We didn't intend it to happen this way. They reported people who tried violence. I don't want to go back to history. And I think we need to find a way to sort it out and develop again the good relationship we had in the past. It depends to a large extent on the Turkish decision. In the new Turkey that develops, will they contain those trends and stay the course of being a pro-Western, pro-stability, be it Islamic society, but a secular country that used to be for many years.
I want to come to a neighbor of both Israel and Turkey, where the situation is far from stable, Syria. Right. And especially reports that Israeli officials, including the head of military intelligence, recently traveled to the United Nations in New York to warn Western countries that some of Syria's weapons of mass destruction, especially ballistic missiles, could fall into the hand of Hezbollah or even Hamas. I should add that there are reports that Hezbollah is transferring weapons from Syria into Lebanon. How much of a concern is this for Israel?
It is a concern, of course. First of all, Hamas is not in that game. Hamas is being held by Syria, but not now through the border because they are far away. Hezbollah is getting missiles and rockets from Syria all the time. And some of it has been kept in Syria. They didn't move it to Lebanon. There were reports that Hezbollah took weapons from Syria to Lebanon just in case the Syrian regime changes or something happens. The arming of Hezbollah...
But I mean, do you confirm those reports? Is this information Israel can confirm?
Yes, there is. There was a movement or a passage of some of the weapons, of missiles and other sorts of weapons from Syria to Lebanon recently. Yes, there was. And one needs to know
more
the
dangerous missiles than before?
Well, there were missiles rockets that are threatening us, and I would say that people may not know it. In the hands of Hezbollah, an organization altogether, they have in Lebanon something like 45,000 rockets and missiles aimed at Israel. Think of the number. Hamas has some 8,000 rockets and missiles aimed at us. I don't think any other country in the world has this threat on it. And Syria was the channel through which it came to Hezbollah, mostly directly from Syria or through Syria from Iran. And if Syria weakens in that process now, if the regime changes, which may very well happen.
Is this what you hope?
Well, we try not to take position because it will not help us or it will not help the opposition if we support them. So we're not saying anything. But of course, you see the brutality, the cruelty used by this regime in order to stay in power. This is extraordinary.
Could they launch another war against Israel through Hezbollah?
Well, I think that the people in the Arab countries will not buy this trick anymore, that in order to allay the fears or put away the pressure on them, you go to war against Israel. I think, first of all, Israel is strong enough and deterrent enough to not to allow them to do so. Second, I think their own people will not buy it as a way out. They need to change the regime from dictatorships, from very tough and non-human rights, non-freedom regimes that they have, into a more modern regime, because the world is open and people see, even in the Arab world, how others live in the world. They see that people do matter, people can bring about changes. They saw it in Egypt. And what happens now in Syria is very interesting, and what the result will be is still left open. It's our interest, of course, that Syria will be a less hostile and more friendly country, but let's see what develops there in the coming weeks and months.
I want to get to the issue of Iran's nuclear weapons. You're in charge of intelligence, atomic energy. The U.S. intelligence assessment, according to reports, is that Iran actually suspended its work on nuclear weapons back in 2003.
It's not anymore.
Well, there are reports that it's still the case, and I want to add that the outgoing head of the Israeli intelligence services, Meir Dagan, said a few months ago that Iran was at least 4 years away from developing a nuclear weapons, and he more recently said that it would be, quote-unquote, stupid for Israel to strike Iran. So were the threats about Iran's nuclear weapons exaggerated, overhyped?
Not at all. Every day that we speak, Iran enriches more low-enriched uranium. They have now over 3 tons, good for more than 3 bombs, of low-enriched uranium. They have about 60 kilograms of 20% enriched uranium. They're building missiles every day. And they are, again, for the recent years, working on the weaponizations, the missing link between the material, the fissile material they're having, and the missile, the launching.
When will they get there?
And it's their decision, because they have enough fissile material.
According to Israel's assessment.
So it's their decision whether they want to pile up a lot of fissile material and then decide to break away or be what they call a threshold state. In one decision, you may jump into that.
Do you think this is their intention?
I don't want to interpret them, but I know that in Iran you see an extraordinary, dangerous combination of a country that wants to become nuclear, that doesn't play by the rules, that endangers the stability of the whole Arab world. All the Arabs are afraid of it and speak of it against nuclear Iran. They want to dominate the whole Middle East, that may have an influence on the oil and market that is in their vicinity, and that says Israel will not exist, not of politics, but of religion. They say it's the word of God that there cannot be a non-Muslim state here. So this combination with the involvement of terror makes Iran a unique case, and it's the test of the free world. Can we stop them? If not,
but is there still the priority in the United States, in Europe, as there were maybe several months ago, and many things happened since then, especially in the region. Do you think people
Yes.
are losing their focus on Iran?
I think people lost some of the focus with the two developments, the Arab Spring, le Printemps Arabe, as they call it, and the Fukushima tragedy in Japan that diverted the attention from Iran. We need to refocus on Iran now. The sanctions started to work. UN sanctions, EU sanctions, American Congress sanctions, more countries joining. I think the Iranian leadership are not irrational people. And if they see the price getting higher and higher for the road to become a nuclear country, they may rethink it. It's an ultimate test of the leadership of the West and the coalition that we are building, not we, America, Europe, in order to stop this. If it doesn't stop, we see a different world, more dangerous than ever in the past.
But is it just through sanctions or eventually military action?
I don't think that in good families one speaks of military actions. It's something that we don't speak of, but I think that Americans usually say that all options are on the table, leave it at that. But the sanctions, I'm not pessimistic. I think if we do it right, if there is leadership, resolve, determination by the world, I think it may affect the decision of the Iranians to slow down and eventually
And if not?
leave this. If not, we'll be in a difficult situation, all of us, not Israel necessarily, the Arab world. Look at WikiLeaks, what they said to America, stop it because it will kill the Arab world. It will destabilize the regimes. It will have Iran as a dominant power, and this may create the end of the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Egypt used to say, we'll get nuclear if they get nuclear. Saudis may do the same. You will see a less manageable world in a very sensitive part of the world. So the time is now to stop them. The way is sanctions, political, economic, financial, banking, what have you. Iran is not an isolated country. They're a smart nation, a talented nation of merchants, of connection with the world. They're not North Korea. And I think there's a lot of leverage that can be used by the world to make them pay a heavy price if they don't stop it. I think the time is still ahead of us. We need to do it now.
Okay, Dan Meridor, thank you very much for coming on the France 24 interview. Thank you all for watching it. Stay tuned here on France 24 for more news.